into day 2, it's the first day being the, oh my God, what am I getting myself into? And then day 2 is, we got to do this again, but I think I can do this. It's kind of what the story of day 2 was. And we all got to the studio around 12 o'clock, I think it was, and then our job was to go back into the live room, and we had from noon till midnight to arrange 5 more songs, because we wanted Flip to be with us and stuff, but we didn't want to keep him away from his family and other stuff too long. So we were trying to get it done quickly, but we wanted to do it right, and there was a lot of pressure on to get it done. But it was interesting that the second tune that we got into was where I felt like the 3 of us hit our stride. Like we kind of got through the situation of, Flip's comfortable with the drums now and how things are set up in the room, and Clint's been working in that studio for a while, so I think it was easier for him. But then I'm still getting over the fact that I'm sitting in the room with these guys who are like heroes of mine, and I got past that, and it was like, okay, it's time to work and actually create something. And we were working on, I think the first song we did was called Answers, and we did that, and it was cool. Then we started working on Another Life, and that's where where everything clicked for all 3 of us. It was like we kind of, I guess, were able to feel each other's playing style and how things were, and who was going to take the lead, who was going to follow, I guess, that kind of thing, and what we were really looking for. And we hit this incredible stride, and we got the remainder of the songs completed, arrangement-wise and drum-wise, pretty much by the end of day 2.
Maybe it's kind of straighten that up. I know you like that riff, man. I want to kind of preserve it. Did halftime on that.
I thought that after we got done arranging all the parts, what they call pre-production, that the next step was we're going to track the drums. And come to find out, we were tracking drums the whole time that we were doing the pre-production stuff. And I'm like, boy, this is so great, because they just like cut off an entire day's worth of work that I thought we still had to go through before we could get to the other parts and that kind of stuff. So it was again another fun learning of what I didn't really know about the recording process, and how you hear people say words like pre-pro and tracking and all this kind of stuff, and you don't really know what it means until you actually sat in there and experienced it yourself.
Gary.
I like that. Cool. See what you guys are doing next.
Similar to the chorus.
While Flip and I would go into the control room and kind of approve the different drum parts and fills and stuff that he wanted in that tune, Clint would go into the next room and kind of refine some of the ideas that I had for the next track. And his idea would be, all right, let me take the riff and the melody that Gary had come up with, and let me make sure that it'll fit into the context of the song. Because sometimes you have this great guitar part, but it's not something that people can sing to or listen to. So as a producer, his job was to go in and kind of make things kind of fit that mold to a degree. And then after he was kind of done that, and Flip and I were finished picking drum tracks, we would go into the room and then join Clint, and then we would kind of listen through and talk through the idea together. And once we all agreed to everything, we'd go back into the live room, and then we would hack it out. Well, Mike recorded it, and we got the arrangement for the third song. And that was our process through the entire remainder of the project. We would track the drum parts, and we would try out the arrangement. Then Clint would go into the room and work on the next song. Flip and I went through and approved the different drum parts and stuff, and then we would head to the next track.
How was he in the studio? Tracking. Yeah. I don't mean to ask you many questions.
It was pretty tough.
Yeah. Tracking. You think that would be like
Forgot what melodies were, and just wanted to get any words that we could. One song, then repeat and stuff. It was almost like a spoken word melody.
There were some really cool, magical moments that happened because two of the songs were written. One of the songs was written while we were there, but one of the songs is one of my favorites, called "Perfect." That song was a riff that I came up with 2 days before I got in the car and drove to the studio, and it turned out to be one of the most singable parts of the track. But if the album, but if we hadn't gotten into our flow and had that process, I don't know if we could have captured and turned that riff into what it is now. So it was really cool to be able to do that, and for me to be able to see what Clint brings to the table, and then how Flip thinks through the drum process and how all these things come together to make this song, because it sounds a whole lot easier than it was.
Back to it, I know what I need to do better. Doesn't mean I'm going to do it better the first time, but I'm gonna try. At least I know what I'm supposed to
it's all cool. We recorded now. We know everything we're doing is wrong. So
do. Exactly.
Start over.
So basically, I completely start with a clean slate.
We know what not to do.
It was exciting because I'm still, again, trying to understand how the process works, and I thought, okay, we arranged all the songs. Now we're going to sit and listen to Flip track all the drums. And I didn't realize that while we were arranging, we were actually tracking the drums at the same time. They were recording everything that he had played, and we just had to go in the studio and kind of choose the best takes and the things we felt were the sharpest and that kind of stuff. And then that day 2 was finished, it was on to day 3. So but it was a great feeling. I was walking around I kind of felt high almost, because I was like, man, everything was perfect, and the music and the way we just understood where the next part should go and all this other kind of stuff. It was such a cool thing to be able to have that connection with all three of us. And, it was really exciting, and to hear, Flip listen to an idea and go, man, that's badass, and then come up with some drum parts that worked with it was, again, it was validating at one point, but it was also, it was a high. So I'm not going to describe it, because I felt like, it sounds stupid, but I was walking with giants. I'm actually connecting with these guys on a musical level, and that's a big deal to a musician.
We're a team in this, man.
So, day 2.